Because there's some meetings in the West Wing, John Carson, who's going to speak at 3:30, is actually heading over now to speak sooner rather than later. So it's okay for people to come trickle in as he heads over. One thing we wanted to do before John gets here is to play you a video that actually just went out to our list maybe 5 minutes ago. As you know, or you may have heard, the president is signing a bill this afternoon that Congress passed to ensure that student loans, the interest rates don't go up, which I think a lot of us can breathe a huge sigh of relief. So we wanted to show you a video about that experience and from a couple of students who were involved in it, as just to show you like this is a great model, a vision of success for how you could potentially get involved with what we're doing here at the White House and across the administration. So I'm going to go ahead and play that video, and then John will be here to speak to you.
I think this is the first time I've seen the fulfillment and the actual rewards of participating and being actively involved and knowledgeable about policies that are going to be affecting you. And I feel like that's such a huge part about being a student.
I used the hashtag Don't Double My Rate on Twitter, and then suddenly I was being told that I would be seeing President Obama speak about Don't Double My Rate in the White House.
Speaking as someone whose voice was heard, just being able to start off with a tweet for hopefully someone to hear and then go to the White House and meet President Obama and stand behind him during his speech, that shows that your voice can be heard.
That's the President of the United States there talking about something that I care so strongly about and that will directly affect me. You know, I love how he was so active in pronouncing the hashtag Don't Double My Rate and making it as like a call to the audience to go do that. You know, go to their computer, go to their smartphone, and to get involved in the participation.
It was really refreshing to hear him, engage my generation, tell them to get involved in the issue, because I know that this is something that affects not only me, but millions of other kids my age. We need to make college more affordable in general, but also this is something that we can do just immediately right now.
I was just very happy that he asked, me and my peers to tweet about it, and I think that it had a big impact.
Overall, the effect that so many thousands of Americans tweeting this, that is the big impact.
Understanding and that the President of the United States and members of Congress were looking at Twitter and really reacting to what students were saying, and something that I helped post, and it really felt really empowering to know that they were actually listening to us.
It's good to know that we live in a democracy where you can really push for something and something will come out of it. You work hard and you get the word out, and there's still hope that your voice is heard.
I really feel like I'm enfranchised and I'm empowered and I have a voice in the political process as a young person, and that's really something that's unbelievable and irreplaceable.
It's really empowering to feel that using social media, using Twitter, really really made a difference.
I think it does inspire millions of young Americans and even older ones that Twitter and other social media has a venue in our society, and that it can be used to bring about change.
Don't stay quiet and just, maybe talk among your friends and raise the buzz, but then encourage them to raise the buzz even higher and tweet about it. Post it on Facebook. Say what you care about, and don't be afraid to say it.
If you could tweet, if you have a smartphone on you, to use the hashtag Don't Double My Rate, but maybe say a thank you message to Congress, to the President, for making sure that we don't have our interest rates doubling. But with that, I also want to turn it over to my boss, John Carson, who is the Deputy Assistant to the President and Director of the Office of Public Engagement. John?
All right. How's your day at the White House so far?
Great.
All right. It's been a good briefing so far. And you're here on a historic day as the President is signing this legislation, which it really is, as you saw in the video, this is amazing. Students and young people have, quite frankly, it's been a generation since Capitol Hill has been moved by them and listened to them in the way that happened under the student loan interest rate fight. It's an example of what this generation can get done. So I think what I'd like to encourage you all to do today is first, as Gautam said, help tell the story of what happened here today. I think young people right now, the message here that you can make change happen is above all of the specific issues that we want to talk about, the fact that you can be a part of driving the debate in this country. That's the number one message we want to get out. And what we want to challenge everyone to do beyond that is keep this conversation going. How can you help people be a part of what's going on in our federal government, and how you can be a part of, not just new laws and fixing things like we did with the student loan interest rate fight, but just taking advantage of what's there. A big problem that we have on the government side of things is if we have laws, if we have grant programs, if we have rights that we've created for people, but nobody knows about it, they can't take advantage of it. Because of the health care law, and because of the Supreme Court holding it up, if you're 23, you're 24, you're 25, you're graduating from college, and you don't have a job right away, or don't have one that provides health insurance, now you all know what your new right is, right? You get your parents' insurance. But if you don't know that, you won't take the steps to actually be covered. We need your help in making people aware that there's a small business administration. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking about how do I get started, I've got this great idea, how do I find out? If you don't even know that the SBA exists, you aren't going to find their website and find out about the programs they have to help young entrepreneurs be part of it. So part of this is just how do we work together to make sure people know what the federal government can do to be a partner with them. But as you saw in the video today, we can go beyond that. We can win these fights to make sure that we don't lose the Pell Grant funding that we've seen that allow people to complete their education, that we don't lose these important programs simply to make sure, as the Republican proposal would do, so that they can give bigger tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires. And Twitter really is this interesting tool that I think it doesn't change how the process works, it just makes it a lot faster. So my Twitter handle is @JohnCarson44. It's @JONCARSON44. If throw me on there, give us your ideas, give government your ideas on how AAPI Youth, how young people in general can be a part of this. What are your ideas for connecting people? I'll be tweeting back. I'm going to share the best ideas that I see with my boss, Valerie Jarrett, and with the president. We really want to make, what we try to do here at the White House is the 150 of you here today, really we want you to be our ambassadors to the enormous networks that you all have. How many people, do you, if we put together all your Twitter followers and all your Facebook friends, how many people do you think that'd be? I bet we're 1 or 2 degrees of separation from millions of people across the country. So help us be a part of this. Help us think of ways we can get people connected to what's going on in the federal government. Go, do I have time for a question or two?
Yep.
So, please.
Or suggestions?
Ideas?
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
So the current law that the president is about, how long will those rates stay?
1 year. 1 year. This was finally a solution, $6 billion, so that we can keep interest rates low for 1 year. But what we've got now that we didn't have when this fight started is a coalition the size of which, as I said, we haven't seen for a generation among young people. And second, you have young people believing they can get something done. So we've got to make this a permanent solution, which the president has proposed. We also have to win other fights. The Republican budget proposal would have massive, massive cuts to things like the Pell Grant programs, to things like those SBA loans that help young entrepreneurs get started. So we really see this as a launching point to take the lessons learned here, the coalition that was built, the energy around it, and making this permanent.
So in that case, a suggestion, how about the White House putting together, as early as today, a group of young students who do rely on federal student loans, so something like that deadlock that happened around May of this year doesn't happen again. So solutions and initiatives are already pushed forward a year in advance before they expire.
The way we find most effective to do that is to not always have the White House at the front of it, but to work with organizations that already exist. So how many of you, can I ask, how many of you ever heard of either US PIRG or Campus Progress? So most of you, I'll tell you, of all the groups we work with, those were 2 of the strongest in terms of bringing people together. They're able to do things outside the government other suggestions? Yeah.
I just had a question. My name is Christina. I'm from Houston. I was wondering, with Twitter and Facebook, how is the Office of Public Engagement engaging older people who don't necessarily know how to use these types of mediums? Or what are suggestions that you give us of how to engage our more traditional parents?
Talk to them would be the short answer. I think what's happening, well, first of all, we do these things called Twitter Q&As, where we'll bring an organization in and we'll have a conversation, but we'll do it all over Twitter. One of the best ones I ever had was with AARP. Retirees are on Facebook, they are on Twitter. But when I said talk to them, what I mean is, I think lots of times there probably wasn't very many people using the hashtag Don't Double My Rate who didn't already kind of know about this, who weren't engaged in this. But I think it upped their energy level. I think it upped their belief that they could get something done. So then in their offline conversations with their parents, with their grandparents, they were bringing it up at the kitchen table. They were bringing it up when they were Skyping with their grandparents in Florida a couple days later. I really think that's what it's about. It's about connecting the people who are already predisposed to help on that issue, but really making them feel empowered and have the tools. So I think that there really isn't a corner of this country, to the smallest villages in northern Alaska to the other end of Florida. There really isn't a corner in this country where at least one person isn't on Twitter, Facebook, online, receiving text messages, who can then be that voice amplifying the offline part of their community. Because I did Twitter Q&A with Native American villages from northern Alaska in my office as well. And that's what they told me. Any other questions or ideas? Yeah.
We just spoke about, in our workshops, we just talked about empowering the American community. I was just curious, what are some of the initiatives on behalf of the White House, the President, or the office
Well, I'll let Kelvin talk a little bit more in detail about some of the specific policy initiatives, whether it be, as you know, the AAPI community is within the community very diverse, and just making sure we're keeping track of what's happening in different parts of the community is important. But the AAPI community is actually where we have one of the most robust initiatives, and literally an initiative housed at the Department of Education with 15 commissioners around the country who are doing exactly what you said, and doing exactly what we're trying to do here today. Just connect people in a person-to-person context to what's going on. This is an interesting lesson we've learned, is that even in the age of Facebook and Twitter, you still need this sort of in-person meeting, this in-person connection, which then Twitter and Facebook become sort of an amplifying tool after we've had it. So that, at a bare minimum, I think one of our asks of all of you is just tell people that you were here. Tweet about it, blog about it, grab 3 people on campus tomorrow, and just tell them about it. Because that's when the questions start coming about, well, what did you learn, and how can I be a part of it as well. But Gautam, how if I turn it over to you if you want to talk to?
Will do. All right, thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
All right, so what I thought we'd do at the very end of this, and I know it's been a long day, so we'll just take maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And what we wanted to do is just hear from all of you about your workshops, what you learned, and get basically some reports back for the rest of the group about either suggestions you have or ideas for what you're going to do when you go back to your campuses or communities. And we can do this the easy way where people volunteer, or we can do it the hard way where we start calling people out by schools or states. I know, Iowa, you're somewhere here still, so in the back. Do you want to go first, Iowa? No? Okay. So who? Any ideas? Come on. Don't be shy. Yep. Oh, why don't we get you a microphone so folks at home can hear?
I don't have any harsh feedbacks, but I just wanted to thank the White House AAPI initiative for hosting this event. I attended the AAPI Summit in January, and that was equally amazing and useful. But this time, I really enjoyed the panels. The first panelists were amazing, great stories, really, grabbed our heartstrings. And for the second part, I thought it was a very interesting format. you know, at first I would have just sat down and thought, oh, you know, another successful stories of, you know, fellow, you know, college students, and you know, we could have just sat there, be complacent, and like, okay, go on, brag about yourselves. But actually, they were giving practical, really useful, pertinent advice that we could actually bring back to our campus and, you know, activate on our own. And the workshops, I went to the Federal Career Workshop. I was really glad that they didn't really, the person, Octavio, didn't go on talking about abstract, you know, advice, study hard, you know, all that, but actually provided us with practical information, websites, application processes, deadlines, that we can, once again, tangibly bring back to our campus in our hands. So I want to thank you and extend my appreciation to the group for
Thank you.
hosting
And
this.
before you give away your
Yes.
mic, do you have one idea or thing, the action item that you're going to take when you get back?
I think using social media, the second panel that I attended was Eddie Lee's social media panel, and there were other websites, I forgot the name, I have them in my notes, that I didn't know that have similar but more unique formats than the ones that we typically use, aside from Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. And I think I'm gonna look into them, actually teach myself how to use them and kind of utilize them in promoting events, not just events, but you know, raising awareness and important issues that may come along the way.
Great. And let's give Eddie a round of applause too. See you, Eddie. And I also wanted, you know, speaking of opportunities for those of you who are either graduating or who are in college, I do want to strongly encourage you to apply for the White House internship program. I think the next application deadline is coming up in the next month or two. It's a great program. I don't know if any of Ryan's right over here. You can bug him, the guy with the camera, and ask him about how his experience has been. But it's a really great program, and we'd love to have all of you apply. Yeah, down here.
First of all, a round of applause for everyone who put this all together. A round of applause for Gautam, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a great day, and I just want to encourage everyone to make sure that this does not stay in here. Let everyone know about the resources. Let everyone know about the possibilities, as not just as Asian Americans, but as citizens, as residents of the country. We're all from all over the country. Let them know, empower, organize. Like we went to the seminar about federal jobs, and I just have a lot of great feedback for Octavio. He was very great in engaging us, not just giving us career advice, but also leading us, saying there are so many opportunities for you young folks. Take advantage of them, and if you need any help, we'll be here. I just want to say thank you to everyone for putting this all together, and I wish everyone the best when you come back home. Encourage everyone. Remember what the late President Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you. Yep, right over here.
I would also like to thank everyone for putting this together. This was amazing, and I know that there are like a lot of great people in this room, and I just wish that there was some way that we could engage more with everyone here, maybe like a happy hour or something like that. I don't know. So maybe like next year or like the next time that we do this. So that was all that my feedback. I really love this entire thing. So.
That's great, and thank you for that. I mean, I don't know about happy hour, but we can. But we'll talk to Akasu and make sure there's some way for all of you guys to stay in touch.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Ideas, come on, folks. Action items. What are you gonna do? Yep, back there. Oh, Nicole, could you run? Oh, you got it?
Hi, my name is Janet. Thank you so much for letting us be involved with the summit. I'm definitely going to take a lot from the engagement workshop that we went to with Franny Cho. It was really informative. What I really liked about the summit was, unlike other workshops, I felt like it was more of like a panel, like just a big room of people who just had like great ideas that like I've never heard of, and like I am definitely using all of them when I get back to school. And like I feel like I wish like we all went to school together and it'd be like crazy awesome. But this was super informative and I learned so much. So that's what I want to say.
Great, no, thank you. Let me ask you. Oh, please. Yep. Round of applause. So let me ask folks: was there anything that surprised you? Anything that upset you?
Oh.
I know the pop chips. Sorry.
Oh.
We'll fix that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really like there was this one idea when students said like they wore like these like tank tops or whatever, and it just like it was almost like a flash advertisement kind of thing. Like I thought that was a great idea. And then another student mentioned just being like kind of mysterious and vague, like in promoting your events and just awareness in general. And I just like thought those were like excellent ideas, and it was pretty cool. So.
Anyone else surprised by anything? Over here.
Hello. Oh gosh, awkward. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Puckett, and I'm from George Washington. Something that surprised me was for the student panel. I know that I spoke with Michael earlier. Thank you. About how he like started like generating interest, and especially with the Asian American minor, for students to be in class, be involved, and to promote culture on top of trying to create a minor to better education for the Asian Americans. That actually really surprised me, and I know for my internship that's something that I had to try and generate interest for, and I was kind of like at a loss of like, what do I do? So coming here and to hearing the student panel stories, people who are my age, my peers, that are able to do this and accomplish that, that actually surprised me greatly, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's great. Anyone else? Surprises? Yep, over here. I see two over here.
Hi, my name is Sina. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Being here, it was kind of, look at it, AAPI's Youth Summit. I'm Pacific Islander. We're probably the only three that's here that represents the PI, PI part. But just looking at the turnout and being filled in the room with great people, great vibes, is like, I know that we're underrepresented, but I can learn something from y'all. I can take what y'all doing, see how y'all get all the Asian Americans out here. I want to be able to do that to our Pacific Islanders. So I'm just here to learn, and I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful I'm here with my sisters too, and we can really learn something from y'all. Thank you.
I think there was one here. And I think there's more than three of you, but if we start doing the roll call, you know, it's gonna get loud. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tawan, and I'm from Harvard University. And I guess I only have a minor feedback. There are a few of us here who are actually grad students, so I think it would be helpful to gear some of the panelists and some of the conversation towards students who are in grad school as well, because I feel like the focus has been largely on college students.
Got it. No, that's a great idea,
I mean,
great point.
you left us out of the roll call too, and every room we went to, that wasn't even an option, so.
We can do it now, grad students.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone over here on this side of the room? Or any other suggestions for what we could do to improve this next time around, or to be more inclusive? Let's go right there, and then we'll hop over here.
Hello, everyone. This is Minera from University of Maryland. One thing that kind of really surprised me was the fact that I was talking to other students, and how even the student panelists also brought up this subject of how Asian American program is kind of like, for some campuses, there are a lack of programs like that or majors like that. So that was kind of like a surprise to me, because like at Maryland, we pretty much have a very strong Asian American Studies program. And so from this experience, I was able to learn how like it's important to know your identity and grow as part of this community, and bring it back to the campus, encourage others to get more involved. Thanks.
That's great. And can we just do a show of hands? How many of you are with a university or were at a university that has an AAPI studies program? So it's about half of you. Interesting. Okay. Was there another comment back here?
Hi, I'm Laura. I go to Oberlin College. One suggestion that I have, not necessarily for the summit in and of itself, but how to continue the conversation after we left the White House, is to potentially release contact information. I don't know if that's something that you can do, but it'd be really helpful if we could like facilitate discussion that way through Google Hangouts or Facebook groups and stuff like that, because I believe there is a lot of potential here, and just trying to spread the knowledge would be really helpful outside the Youth Summit in and of itself.
No, that's a great point. And I think we've said a number of times we want this to be the first in a series of conversations. So we'll definitely talk with the folks at ICASU and figure out the best way to do that. That also respects people's privacy too. So, all right, I see. Let's do 3 more, and then we should probably finish wrapping up.
Hi, I spoke earlier. My name's Annie. I am also a grad student. Power to us. I just wanted to say thank you for hosting this. This was really great. I think what really surprised a lot of people was that the White House was just really open with its different departments. People are really accessible. I have a number of contacts now to ask about like civil rights issues and different things like that. I think what would really help are emails of all the people maybe who spoke today, so we can gather that information and ask questions if we have any.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Great.
And
That's a great
also
idea.
maybe the slides from some of the presentations that were given today.
Got it. Great. And Jason is right over here. So we'll make sure that we send a follow-up email to everybody with email addresses, probably with some of the slides, links to resources that you probably heard described during the day. So that's a great point. I saw there was 2 more questions down here. Yep.
Hi, my name is Juliet Shen. I'm from SUNY Albany. I'm also the advocacy coordinator for ICASU. And my suggestion just kind of, I guess it's more technical, but it's kind of hard to tweet questions and responses and check things because the service in here is like really spotty. So besides that, I mean, it was a great day, so
It's a
glad
great
everyone
point.
enjoyed
Yep.
it.
No. Well, as soon as you step outside, take out your phone. So, all right. Any last question? Oh, yep.
My name is Melissa. I just have a suggestion. I think it would be great if we could schedule in more time to network with each other, to have time to kind of talk to everyone.
Sure.
Because I think that's one of the great opportunities here is meeting everyone and actually getting an opportunity to talk to them, exchange contacts, exchange ideas, because that's one of the great things about ICASU and one of the great things about being here in a place like this.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll definitely try to build more time next time. And I know there's one last question over here, so let's do that, and then we'll close out.
Hi there. Oh, sorry. Hi there. My name's Coco. I'm from Cal State Northridge. And talking to a couple of people, figuring out how they found out about the summit is a lot of people found out by blogs. And like at my college didn't even know about this, even though we have we have an Asian American Studies department. And I think it'd be great if we could do more outreach to colleges. I understand I'm all the way in California, so I know it's really far away. But I think, and it's been amazing. I was actually surprised at how great the turnout is. I thought maybe they'd just be like 20 of us huddled in a room. And so this is great. And I know that if we were to do this, say, again next year and try to make this more of an annual thing, we could even expand it to make it bigger. We can make it a multiple-day workshop versus trying to cram everything in one day. Because I know there is a lot more that we can talk about, and these are just the tip of the iceberg, really. So doing a lot more outreach, because I know a lot of other people that would love to come to this. So just for.
That's a great point. And on that note, a couple of us have been talking about doing some extended college outreach this September. So when we send our follow-up email, one thing we may ask you is, and I think we ask you in the survey that I'm about to talk about, is to let us know if you'd like to host an event similar to this. I mean, we can only fit 150 people in here, and of course, there's people watching at home. But if we were to go around the country, we'd have much greater ability to engage people. So on that note, as I mentioned, you should all have received one of these engagement surveys on your way in. Did anybody not get one? Just wave your hand so we can get one. Oh, a lot of you. Okay. So we'll pass them around. And what we really need your help with this. As I mentioned early this morning at 9 a.m., each of you represents, tens, hundreds, thousands of people who aren't here. So we need your help. everyone's still listening? We need your help with this engagement survey. We want to know who you are. We want to know where you have networks, whether you'd be willing to host an event. And we also want your feedback on the workshops you attended and the day as a whole. And here's the bribe, is if you fill out one of these surveys, we'll give you one of our AAPI Heritage Month proclamations, which Jason is displaying over here. They're very pretty. So it's a one-for-one. This is very transactional, guys. So if you can fill out the survey, that'd be really great and really helpful. And we have some time now to just hang out, and you can do that. And we have some time you can meet each other, network. But before we go, I just wanted to say a couple of quick thank yous. First of all, to the ICASU team for just being tremendously helpful and for your vision and leadership in putting this together. I also want to thank the staff here and at the initiative, Jason over here. Yay, Jason. And also our interns, Ryan, Michael, Vincent, Amrita, Janie. Are you all still here? Mostly? Well, thank you guys for your help. And I also want to give a shout out to Eddie Lee back there who hosted this event 6 months ago. So Eddie, wave. And again, just thank you to all of you for being here. We really do appreciate you coming out here on a Friday in the middle of July, early in July. And hope you have safe travels back to wherever you came from. And continue to count on us as a resource. And we'll send up a follow-up email and look forward to staying in touch. So thank you all. Take a few minutes to hang out, meet each other, fill out these surveys, and have a great weekend. Take care.